Hi, so I'm going to welcome everyone to the Fordtown Energy Storage Project public meeting. I'm Andrew Hughes, I'm the PR and Media Manager for ILI Group, and also have Greg Templeton.
Hi, so I'm going to welcome everyone to the
Manager on.
Fordtown Energy Storage Project
Mute that, getting a bit of an echo. So yeah, welcome everyone. If you're here, I can see there's a few people on the live chat. If you want to let us know who you are in the live chat, and as we go through what we're going to do is we're going to go through a presentation. It takes maybe 10-15 minutes. At the end of the presentation, if you've got any questions, you can pop them up on the live chat here. You should be able to see that. You don't need to log in. You should just have a guest and a number. So I can see there's myself on and two other people. So if you're there, if you can give us a little hello, and I'll start the presentation. Don't know, Greg, if you want to add anything to that.
No, just to invite people to use the chat as a good way for any questions they've got. We'll answer the questions at the end. So you can put your questions up as they occur to you, and then at the Q&A bit, we'll answer your questions.
Okay, so how we're going to do it is we'll be doing one presentation every half hour. So I'm thinking the presentation takes about 10-15 minutes in, another sort of 5-10 minutes for chat or any questions, then we'll go through the process again on the hour and half hour right up till 6 p.m. where we'd stop. So I think we've got, let's see how many people we have here. We've got 4 people online now, so we've got a couple more people online. So welcome. I'm going to just start the presentation. Basically just run through, tell you a little bit about the project, who we are as a company, who ILI Group are, what it is we're trying to achieve with energy storage projects like this, and a little bit of specifics about the land at Fordtown. So I'll just start this off. So let me see. So what is the project? So the project itself, the Fordtown project, already has permission for a 19.9 megawatt facility that we got last year. So this project's been through planning last year, and we achieved a planning permission on the land. The new proposal, in essence, what it is we're trying to do is increase the capacity on the site. So physically, we're not asking for any, we're not changing the project as to what's been consented. It's going to be exactly the same physically on the ground. Really, what we're doing is because we're going over 20 megawatts, then the project becomes a major development. So because we're basically changing the boilerplate or the sticker on we're going from 19.9 to 29.9. Because we're going over that 20 megawatt threshold, it becomes a major application, and we need to go through this process again. So nothing's changing from what we've got planning for, except that the batteries that we've managed to get batteries that have got a better capacity, so it means we can have more power stored on the site. So in essence, that's what we're doing. So the project itself is still a containerized battery solution. There's 30 containerized batteries, all the associated equipment, access track, electricity. There's a small meter building, small substation, fencing, and there's some security cameras there as well. So projects like this, what they do basically is we store excess energy from the grid. So we're connected to the grid directly. At times when there's excess power being created, we would store that and we put that back into the grid when it's required. And this helps balance supply and demand for the grid. So I'll give you a little background about who ILI Group are. So we're Intelligent Land Investments Group, ILI for short. We're an energy storage development company based in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire. Started in 2017, the energy storage sort of side of things. Before that, we were involved in the feed-in tariff. We had a number of projects for hydro, solar, and wind up in Aberdeen, all across the country, really. Pardon me. So we've been involved in the renewable sector for a long time, but we solely focus now on energy storage development. And it's our focus is that what we're trying to do is bring 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. So the majority of that's going to come from 3 pump storage hydro projects that we have at the moment. One of those up indoors at Loch Ness, on the shores of Loch Ness, you might have heard of Red John, that's currently going through planning. And the rest of that's going to come from 500 megawatts of battery storage, similar to the project here at Fordtown. So why is energy storage needed? Why is there a need for this? So Scotland has a target of net zero by 2045, an ambitious target that was laid out last year. Now, the rest of the UK is 2050. Now, how we're going to do that is, well, a large part of that's going to be from moving away from fossil fuel generators, coal, gas, and nuclear as well. Basically, a lot of these kind of older generators are actually going offline, sort of like big coal plants like Longannet, and there's other gas and coal plants come to the end of their lifespan, as well as nuclear, and we're becoming more and more reliant on renewable energy, which is great. But the only problem with renewable energy, the age-old problem with renewable energy is intermittent. So can't turn it on for the adverts at Coronation Street or whatever you prefer. Whenever it's windy, that power is getting generated. Whenever it's sunny, that power is getting generated. So it doesn't always match up with demand. And what we've done previously is we've had kind of fossil fuel generators to make up that difference. So we turn up the coal or the gas or the nuclear whenever we need those, when we need to meet those sort of spikes in demand. So, but as those goes offline, it leaves a gap in that kind of in that energy mix. So what energy storage lets us do is it lets us store that renewable energy for when it is needed. And the Ofgem have estimated that we could need up to 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We're currently at about 4 gigawatts, majority of that pump storage, and a lot of that's going up and up now with battery sites as well. So the Scottish Government energy strategy, Scottish Government have recognised that if we're going to roll out and deploy large-scale renewables, we're going to need large-scale deployment of energy storage as well. So they're broadly supportive of new energy storage projects like this one. Now, why in this exact location? So the land that we have at Fordtown is located near the Contour GSP, which is a grid supply point. So really a grid supply point where power comes in, transmission power comes in on pylons, gets broken down into smaller voltages, gets sent to smaller substations again, and eventually sent to your house. So it's kind of like a hub, a grid supply point's a hub, and there's a number of these in Scotland, but not all of them have capacity to take the kind of power that we're trying to put in. So there's a limited amount of these grid supply points that could actually facilitate a battery storage project. Now, we looked across Scotland and we've targeted the ones where we know that there's power, there's capacity available. So that's really why we're at Contour, because Contour is one of those few grid supply points that has capacity to take the power. Now, the next few slides give you an idea of the location is where we are positioned exactly, and what we're actually going to put on the ground. So this is a location plan. Like I said, it's not changed from the previous application. It's land at Fordtown. It's about 1 kilometre southwest of Contour. We're taking access from the main road going from Contour down to Lay Lodge on the B977. The development itself is going to be it's around about 200 metres from nearest homes at Lay Lodge to the west, and around 200 metres from the house, the actual house at Fordtown, which is part of the family business that's run there. So that gives you an idea, kind of a wider shot of where we are positioned locally. Now the site layout itself, like I said, we have 30 energy storage units that are running parallel to 15 either side, running parallel to each other with an access track down the middle. We've also got a small substation enclosure in there as well, which I'll talk about in a little minute. And there's a 3-metre wooden fence on the outside of the units, and outside of that we're going to be planting new native broadleaf trees and shrubs, that are going to screen that fencing and the project as a whole. Obviously, over time, will take a while for them to grow. And outside of that, we've got a kind of a stock fence, a wire stock fence. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the actual enclosure is going to look like. But from the main road and from most views, you're not really going to be able to see that. You're going to be able to see the fencing to start with, and then the screen planting. You've obviously got the forestry to the south there. It's going to screen it nicely, and we're going to be screening from the other sides with the kind of trees where it's visible from the road. Now the energy storage themselves, they have everything inside them. Basically, it's racks of batteries inside a storage container. The inverters, transformers, they're all housed within the steel containers that are 13 meters by 2.5 meters on the ground, with a height of 2.6 meters. They also have air conditioning units on them as well to kind of keep all the equipment inside cool. Now the technology we're using is solid state lithium batteries. Basically, that's what's used in nearly every other energy storage project or battery storage project across the UK and worldwide. So it's a proven technology, so we'd be sticking with that also. Now, the small substation that's going to be on the site as well, that's going to house all the Scottish Power equipment and our own equipment. Basically, everything we need to get the power from the batteries to the grid and from the grid to the batteries again. Now, it's going to be a prefab GRP building up to 10 meters by 6 meters on the ground with a height of 3.2 meters, and the colour would be agreed with the council for that. So, got the wrong council name there, I'll change that in the next slide, in the next presentations, apologies, that obviously should be Aberdeenshire Council. Now the fencing that we're going to be using, there's a 3 metre high wooden fence on the outside of the project. And then outside of that, we're going to have the trees. We're going to be planting a mixture of hawthorn, blackthorn, hazel, blackberry, crabapple, and dogwood, kind of shrub trees and shrubs and bushes, to kind of screen that project. Obviously, they don't come fully grown; it takes a while for them to grow. And then outside of that, we'd have the post and wire stock fence, and there's also a security camera as well in there just to keep an eye on the project. So that really gives you an idea of what it is that we're looking to do. Gives you a wee bit about ILI and about what it is we're trying to achieve with our energy storage projects as a whole. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. It would be great to hear from you, and we can certainly answer those. Anything you want to add to that?
Andy, there's a note from Kevin Gilbert saying that Greg is really distorted. Are you able to hear me okay, Andy?
I can hear you okay now, Greg, but you were distorted earlier on. So, if Kevin, if you're there, mate, if you can let us know if you can hear Greg, if he's okay now. So say something, Greg. So, muted yourself. You've muted yourself.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I was distorted earlier. I wasn't sure if you meant the audio or my face, because this is just how I look. But yeah, I think it's fine now. So, if there's anybody else online at the moment who has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Can you see the chat, Greg? Is it working for you?
Yeah. I can see the chat on the link that you sent me.
Yeah. Kevin, yeah. Oh, yeah, Kevin. Fine now. Yeah, it's fine now. Perfect. Cheers, Kevin. I'm wondering if there's anyone else online. There's 4 people, but I think we might be 2 of them, Greg. Yeah. When do you plan to start? Start what? Let's see. What do you mean, Kevin? Start the presentation, or what do you mean?
Assuming
Sorry? No development, right? Okay. So the project itself, we're waiting on the grid connection. So it'll probably be, I don't actually have the grid connection date there, but it's not for at least another 12 months. The grid connection. So we wouldn't start. We would try and time everything so that everything's arriving on site just as we're getting the battery, as we're getting the grid connection. So we're not having the equipment sitting there for a long time, not connected to the grid. But I can have a chat with you about that, Kevin, and give you the exact dates that we've got. I can give you the exact dates for the grid connection. Certainly do that for you, give you an idea when we're hoping to get the project connected. Yeah, but it's at least 12 months away till we would start any work, I believe. So let's see who else is online here. So we've got me. Yeah, so if there's any other questions, if anyone's got any other questions they'd like to ask, please put them up and we'll answer them as best we can. Or if not, we'll start the next presentation at 3:30, and we'll just take it from there. But thanks for coming on, Kevin. Anything you'd want to add to that, Greg?
No, Andy, I think that was a good presentation. It covered all the points. I just repeat anybody that's joining the website just now, maybe. There's a question and answer form to fill at the bottom. I'm just looking. So click here for access to PAN questionnaire, and that lets you fill out some details and get in touch with us about any questions they might have or any comments that you would like to make. You can also get in contact with us. Andy's just putting the title screen back up. Our email addresses are on that, I think. But it's gt@ili-energy.com for myself and ah@ili-energy.com for Andy. And if anyone does have any questions, at any point, we're happy to get in touch with us and answer your questions. Andy, I think you might be on mute.
Yeah. So if you can't see the chat screen, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, if that's not coming up on your phone or however you're watching it, there's also a mobile number there, and I think you might have just said that, Greg, but there's a mobile number there, 07456 539 239. If you want to text us any questions you have, we can respond live. And like Greg said as well, we've also got the email addresses as well, ah@ili-energy.com and gt@ili-energy.com. So anything you want to ask us, fire away to do with the project, and we'll start another presentation at past. I'll put the screen back up now. Do both. Screen. I think Greg mentioned this as well, but we're also looking for feedback from if you want to fill in the PAN questionnaire, Kevin, that would be great. It's just there. Click download to access. It's just online. You can just give us comments on the project and submit that too. That'd be great. And the questionnaire and the presentation slides will be up for the next 21 days. So anyone who's wanting to have a look later on, or they're wondering what I said about this or that, you can download the slides, which give you the kind of full overview of the project. Okay, so we'll be back at 3:30 to do another presentation. If anyone's on before that, if they want us to start it before then, let us know and we'll do that also. Okay, thanks. Hi, Greg. Hi, welcome anyone who's tuned in for the 3:30 presentation. We're just going to get things moving in a wee minute. Just going to get the presentation ready. Let's see.
So, Andy, can you put yours on?
Yeah.
So I am Greg Templeton and the Planning Project Manager for Intelligent Land Investments. Another gentleman you can see is Andrew Hughes. He's the PR and Media Manager, and he also helps out with a lot of technical aspects of various developments. The presentation today is about the Fordtown energy storage project that we have, and Andrew's about to start going through some slides. But on the side of your screen, you'll see there's a box for chat. So bear with me, I'm just looking at my screen just now. So on the right-hand side, you see there's a place where it says type a message. If you're here to sort of participate, if you have any questions, you could just type in that box. You don't have to register or give any details. Type any questions that you have in there, and we'll have a question and answer session at the end of this short presentation. Where we'll try to answer any questions you've got. If you are watching though just now, if you just maybe even just type in hi or hello, that lets us know that you're there, and we can come to you at the end. And Andy will take you through the various aspects of the proposals. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Greg. Also, if you can't see the chat box, if you're on your phone or your laptop and the chat box isn't coming up for you, if you want to, there's also a mobile number there, 07456 539 239 underneath where the chat box is or isn't. If you want to text us any messages, and we'll try and answer the questions at the end. But I'll just start the presentation anyway. So, like Greg said, I'm Andrew Hughes, PR and Media Manager for ILI Group. So I'm going to let you know a little bit about the project, about our company, and really what it is we're trying to do. So what is the project? What is it we're actually doing? So the land itself already benefits from planning permission for a 19.9 megawatt energy storage facility that was consented last year. This new proposal, really what it's doing is we're increasing the output of the batteries. We've got batteries, we can get better capacity batteries that fit into the same space. So really all what we're doing is going from 19.9 megawatts up to 30 megawatts of power. And because we're going over the 20 megawatt threshold, it becomes a major application. So we need to go through this PAN process and the full planning process again. So that's really what we're doing at the moment, is just increasing the capacity of the batteries that we already have consent for. So the facility itself is still exactly the same. It's containerized batteries. There's an access track. There's a small substation on site, some fencing and screening that we're planning with screening as well. So that it's exactly the same as what we already have consent for. In essence, what these projects do is we store excess energy from the grid. So at times when there's renewable energy being produced perhaps in the middle of the night that nobody needs, instead of turning those turbines off, we can store that electricity and put it back, store that power and put it back into the grid when it is needed. And this helps balance supply and demand for the grid, which I'll talk a wee bit about later. So who are ILI Group? So we're an energy storage development company based in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire. We started the energy storage side of things in 2017. Previous to that, we were involved in the feed-in tariff. So we had a number of projects for wind, solar, hydro, over a good 10-year period. We're involved in that. So we've been involved in the renewable sector for quite a long time, but now we're solely focused on bringing energy storage to Scotland. So we're bringing 2 gigawatts of energy storage is our plan for Scotland. The majority of that's going to come from 3 pump storage hydro stations that we're planning. One of those already in planning, Red John on the shores, at Doors on the shores of Loch Ness, which has been in the plan. It's been in planning for a while, and it's been in the press as well. We read about that one. And the rest is going to come from 500 megawatts of battery storage, either in planning or already consented, which Fordtown is part of. So why do we actually need energy storage? What is the whole purpose of that? So Scotland has a target of net zero by 2045. The rest of the UK is 2050. And a big part of that is going to be moving away from old fossil fuel generators, coal and gas, and nuclear, and becoming more dependent on renewable energy. Scotland's already quite dependent on renewable energy, but as sort of these older coal and gas plants go offline, it makes us even more dependent on renewable energy. And the age-old problem with renewable energy is that it's intermittent, meaning we can't rely on it to meet demand when we want it to. So we can't switch it on for whenever everyone hits the kettle at the World Cup final, the old cliche like that. So we need to have backup power for that. And traditionally that was fossil fuel generators, but as these go offline, we need to find another way to meet that kind of spike in demand. And what we're doing that with now is energy storage. So energy storage lets us store that renewable energy for when it is needed. So if it's windy in the middle of the night and no one needs that power, rather than switching those turbines off, we can store that energy for when it is needed. Now, Ofgem have estimated that we could need up to 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We now have roughly about 4 gigawatts of energy storage in the UK, so we're quite a wee bit away from that. Scottish government have also recognised this, and they're broadly supportive of energy storage capacity. You know, if they're going to deploy renewables on a larger scale, we're going to hit that net zero target. We're going to have large-scale energy storage, like projects like this. So why are we actually in this location? So why are we at Kintor? Now, the reason why we're at Kintor is the land that we have is next to the Kintor grid supply point. And basically a grid supply point is where transmission power from pylons comes in, gets broken down into smaller voltages, goes to substations, gets broken down into smaller voltage again, and then eventually out to your house and to your businesses. So it's basically a hub. A grid supply point is a hub for electricity. So we've done an analysis of all the grid supply points in Scotland, and very few of them actually have the capacity to take the kind of power that we're looking to store. So that's why we're at Kintor, is it's one of the very few kind of grid supply points that can accept this level of power. So the next few slides give you an idea of where exactly we are on the ground and what it is we're doing, what it's specifically going to look like. So this location plan gives you an idea of where we are. We're at Fordtown. We're about 1 kilometre southwest of Kintor, taking access from the B997, which runs from Kintor down to Lay Lodge, and the development is around about 200 metres from the nearest homes at Lay Lodge to the west, and around 200 metres from the house at Fordtown, which is part of the farm business of the land that we're on. So that gives you an idea of where exactly we are. The site layout itself, it's 30 energy storage units, which are basically storage containers with sort of racks and racks of batteries inside of them. So there's 15 of those on either side of an access track that's running down the middle, which is surrounded by a 3-metre wooden fence. And outside that we have a small substation enclosure which has all the equipment to get the power from the grid to the batteries and back the other way again. And outside of that, we have the screening from the forestry that's already there to the south, and then we're going to be planting native broadleaf trees and shrubs. Obviously, they won't become full size, but after a while, that's all you're going to be able to see from from the road is the trees that are going to be planted there. You're not going to be able to see the fencing eventually. So we're trying to screen the project as well as we can. So energy storage units themselves are 13 metres by 2.5 metres on the ground and 2.6 metres high. And like I said, they contain all the batteries, inverters, all the equipment that we need to get power to the grid. And those also have air conditioning units on them as well to keep all the equipment inside cool. Now, the technology we're using is solid-state lithium-ion batteries, which are basically used in most, if not all, other energy storage projects or battery storage projects in the UK and worldwide. So we're using a proven technology. So that's what we're going to stick with. Substation building is small. It basically has the equipment that we need to convert the power from the batteries to get it to the grid and to get it back the other way. And that would be a GRP building, 10 metres by 6 metres by 3.2 metres high, and we'd agree the colour of that with the Aberdeenshire Council. That's a GRP building, so glass reinforced plastic building. The fencing, we're going to have security cameras that will be watching the project. Outside of that, we have a solid 3 metre high fence. And outside of that, we would have the trees that we're planting as well. I think we've already agreed that with the council, the kind of mix of kind of hawthorn, blackthorn, hazel, blackberry, crabapple, dogwood kind of trees and bushes to kind of over time that will come to grow and screen that project quite well. And outside of that, again, there's a 1.2 metre post and wire stock fence to stop any kind of cattle or any kind of livestock getting close to the project. So that really gives you an idea of what it is we're trying to do, who we are as a company, why we need energy storage, and why we need it in this exact location. So if anyone's got any questions, please put them in the chat, and me and Greg will try and answer them as best we can. I'm not sure if there's anyone else online. If you can't see the chat, there's also my mobile number there, 07456 539 239, so you can text us any questions you might have. So if you've got any questions, put them up. Anything you'd like to add to that, Greg?
Yeah, Andy, I think it's just worth emphasising again that this site has a planning consent. We already have a planning consent on this for essentially the same development, but the capacity of the batteries is lower. So we're increasing the capacity of the batteries. But physically, what's developed on the ground, the units that we're putting there, the access, the fence, all of that will look exactly the same as the existing consent that we have. So just if people are sort of concerned as to what will be there, we're not making the development any bigger. It's exactly what we've already got.
Yeah, and also if you have a look, there's click to access the PAN questionnaire. So if you've got any, that's an actual form that you can fill in for us, so we can get feedback on what you think of the project. That's not the actual representations to Aberdeenshire Council. That's just for us. Once we put the plan application in, you can make an official comment to the council when that goes live. So any questions, put them up. Otherwise, we'll be back at 4 o'clock to do another quick presentation.
Thanks, Andy. Andy, could you put the main screen up, which tells the times for people? Thank you. Thanks, Andy. I see that Andrew's just joined us now, and we'll hope to start the presentation in just a few minutes.
Hi, Greg. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm Andrew Hughes, PR and Media Manager, and we're just going to start the presentation. I think, Greg, did you run through what we were the chat box and everything, give everyone the kind of heads up what we're doing?
Yeah. Can you mute for a second?
Yeah.
So I get a little echo when both our mics are turned on. Yeah, Andy, I think someone else had come online there, so I was just explaining that we're doing a regular presentation at the times on the screen just now, and that we have a question and answer afterwards, and I explained the other ways that we could get in touch. So there's your mobile number is there. There's also the PAN form that people can fill in, and there's also our email address. So for me, it's gt@ili-energy.com, and for Andrew, it's ah@ili-energy.com. And if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them. So no one's written anything just now, Andy, but make type as you're doing the presentation.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, so I think we'll just start we'll be on till not 3 o'clock yet, but basically what the presentation is a quick slide, quick PowerPoint, shows you a little bit about the company, what it is we're doing at Fordtown, why we're involved in energy storage, and basically what's on the ground, what the actual developments proposed to look like. So we'll just get started with that and see if anyone else is on. There's one more person on. So I'll just start with the presentation. So what is the project? What is it we're trying to do? What is it we have at the moment? So the site already benefits from planning permissions for a 19.9 megawatt energy storage facility. Now what we're doing is we've managed to get a better storage capacity out of the same units that we have planned for currently. So we'll be going from 19.9 megawatts to 29.9 megawatts. And the reason why we have to go back into planning for that is become over 20 megawatts, it becomes a major development. So although nothing's actually changing from the original consent, apart from the battery capacity on the site, the physical aspects of it are staying exactly the same. We still need to go through the planning process again. And as it's a major development, we need to do a public consultation like this to find out what people think about it and to get any feedback. So development, if you weren't aware, the first one, basically it's containerized batteries. There's 30 battery containers, associated equipment with that. There's a small substation building, fencing, security cameras, and an access track in between all that. Essentially what energy storage projects like this do is we store energy from the grid when it's not needed. So if there's renewable energy or there's excess energy power on the grid, we can store that energy for when it is needed, putting it back into the grid when required. And this helps balance, basically, in basic terms, it helps balance supply and demand for the grid. Now, who are ILI Group? Now, ILI is Intelligent Land Investments, ILI for short. We're an energy storage development company based in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire. The energy storage side of things we started in 2017. Before that, we were involved in the feed-in tariff. We had projects all over the country, Aberdeenshire. We had a number of projects in Aberdeenshire as well, South Lanarkshire, basically everywhere in Scotland we had some type of renewable project, whether it be hydro, wind or solar. So we've done a lot in renewables, and now we're specifically focused on energy storage. Essentially, we were looking to bring 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland, and the majority of that would come from the 3 pump storage hydro projects that we are looking at the moment. One of them is on the shores of Loch Ness at Doors, which Red John that's called, and that's currently in planning. That's had quite a lot of publicity, so you might have heard of that. We also have the rest of that's going to come, 2 gigawatts is going to come from 500 megawatts of battery storage, either being consented or in the process of being consented, just like Fordtown here. So why do we need the energy storage? Why is it needed? So Scotland's a target of net zero by 2045. The rest of the UK is 2050. So we've got an ambitious target that the Scottish Government wants to meet. So a large part of that is going to come from moving away from fossil fuel generators, coal and gas, and moving more towards renewable energy, which we've already done in a major way in Scotland and in the UK. And so as we move away from fossil fuel generators, we're going to become more and more dependent on renewable energy. Now, that's great, but the only problem, the age-old problem with renewable energy is that it's intermittent. So that means we can't switch it on when the World Cup, everyone goes to put a cup of tea on at the World Cup finals, the cliche, or the ads the ads at Coronation Street. We can't turn that power on when we want it to. It's windy when it's windy and it's sunny during the day, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So previously what happened is that fossil fuel generators would make up the difference. So when there was high demand and low renewable energy, we'd switch on the gas, coal, nuclear to make up the difference. But as these kind of assets go offline and come to the end of their lifespan, we're going to become more and more reliable in renewable energy. So we need to find a way to sort of plug that hole in the energy mix. And energy storage is a way to do that, where we can store renewable energy for when it is needed. Now, Ofgem have estimated that we could need up to 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We're currently sitting at around 4 gigawatts, so we're quite a wee way away from that. The Scottish Government and their energy strategy published in 2018 recognised that, and they're broadly supportive of energy storage projects because they realise if they're going to get these targets by 2045, deploy more renewables, we're going to have to deploy more energy storage to back that up. So why are we actually at Kintora, at this location near Kintora? And the reason is we're beside the grid supply point, the big substation that's just down the road from it really. So a grid supply point is really, it's a hub for power coming from transmission lines. So that's your kind of big pylons. It's broken down into smaller voltages in the grid supply point, into smaller substations, and eventually out to your house and to your home and to your businesses. So any grid supply point is basically a grid hub. Now there's a limited amount of these are all over the country, but there's a limited amount of these grid supply points that actually have the capacity to take the kind of 30 megawatts that we're talking about. So that's why we're at Kintora. We've done an exercise where we've looked at everywhere in Scotland, and Kintora is one of the few locations that could actually take that power. So that's why we're in this area. So this gives you, the next few slides give you are basically the plan and drawings, if you like to put on that, give you an idea of the location, what it is we're actually proposing on the ground. So this gives you a kind of wide view of the location of the site. So we're positioned at Fordtown, Kintora, about 1 kilometre southwest of Kintora itself, between the Kintora and Lay Lodge on the main road, the B977 road connecting that, and that's where we'll be taking access from as well. We're about 200 metres from the nearest homes at Lay Lodge, and about 200 metres from the house of Fordtown. So it's part of the farm business of the landowner whose land that we're on. The site itself, like I said, it consists of 30 energy storage units, 15 either side by side, with an access track that runs down the middle of that essentially, and that's surrounded with a 3-metre wooden fence, and outside of that we have screening, which is going to be native broadleaf trees and shrubs. Obviously that'll take a wee while to grow, but eventually they'll screen the site completely from 3 sides that are visible, because we have the forest to the south already in place, and we'll have the other 2 sides completely screened. So from most locations on the road, you're not going to be able to see the project once it's actually installed. Now the energy storage units themselves, they are 13 metres by 2.5 metres by 2.66 metres high, so they're basically storage containers, the size of storage containers, and they're fitted out with all batteries, transformers, control equipment, everything we need to get the power to and from the grid. And the technology we'll be using for them is solid-state lithium-ion batteries. They're basically what's been used on the majority, if not all, UK projects and worldwide for battery storage up to now. So basically, they're a proven technology, so that's why we'd be sticking with those. So the small substation I mentioned is a prefab GRP building. So good glass reinforced plastic, up to 10 metres by 6 metres by 3 metres, 3.2 metres high. I would agree the colour of that with Aberdeenshire Council. And that controls all the kind of Scottish power equipment, everything we need to kind of break the power and from batteries to the grid and from grid to the batteries again. Now the fencing that we had discussed earlier would be, we've got some security cameras to keep an eye on everything, then we have a 3 metre high solid wooden fence, and then outside of that we have the screening, the hedgerow planting, the trees that we're talking about as well. So we're talking hawthorn, blackthorn, blackberry, crabapple, dogwood. We've already agreed these trees with the planners for the previous application. They would stay the same for this application as well, hopefully. And outside of that, we would have the wire and stock fence, which is 1.2 metres high. So that gives you an idea of what it is we're actually proposing, who ILI Group are, and why we need energy storage, and why we need it in this location. Okay. If anyone's got any questions, please put them up in the chat, and me and Greg will answer them as best we can. It'd be great to hear from you. If you can't see the chat, if you're wondering what we're talking about, there's also a mobile number there, 07456 539 239, that you can text us on. And we also have our email addresses, ah@ili-energy.com, ili-energy.com, and gt@ili-energy.com if you want to speak to us. So that's it from me. Greg, if you have anything you'd add to that? Okay, wonderful. Okay, yeah. So if anyone's got any questions, just fire them up in the chat. That would be great. So we can get an idea what people are thinking. That would be great. Just also to mention, if you're not one to ask questions, but you want to give us your views on the project, we'd really like to get those too. So if you see in downloads, it says click here to access PAN questionnaire, and that's an online form you can fill in and submit to us with what you think of the project. And we also have the PowerPoint slides that I went through there, and those will both be up for the next 21 days, so we can get as broad an appeal from everyone, as we can. So I'll just hand it over to Greg now. Greg.
Andy, I was just going to say, can you go back to the drawing of the fences and the planting that's there, if possible? Because I was going to say that the planting there, it's hard to tell in terms of scale. If people are imagining these as full-sized conifer trees, that's not what's illustrated there. There's two fences, so the two lines shown. One is a wire fence. That's 1.2 metres high, is a little higher than a kitchen worktop, which is 0.9 of a metre high. And 3 metres high, to give you an idea, is like a little higher than a living room ceiling. So the trees that are shown there, they're essentially small trees that will grow over time, and sort of bushes and that type of thing, rather than full-grown trees. So just in case anyone was picturing an especially high fence, that's not what's proposed. Also, to just re-emphasise what you said at the start, Andy, that this is, and we have an approval on the site. This site has consent for a battery storage project that essentially looks exactly the same as what we're proposing today. And the only difference is that we're increasing the capacity of the batteries, so they're able to store more energy from the grid. They're not bigger than the other ones that were previously proposed, but they're more efficient, they store more power. So if anyone has any questions, if anyone's watching online just now, you can type on the box on the right hand side of the screen, or alternatively we're going to start another presentation at past. You can also, Andrew's mobile phone number is on the screen. That's 07456 539 239. if you think of any questions you want to text Andy, if that's more convenient. And you can also email us. My email address is gt@ili-energy.com, and Andrew's email address is ah@ili-energy.com. So, Andy, I'm just seeing nobody's typing up any questions yet, but we'll be about for the next little while if anyone does have any questions over the next few minutes. And then the next presentation will start at past.
Thanks, Greg. Cheers to that. Yeah. So I'll put the front screen back up, and we're here for any questions if anyone can think up anything. Otherwise, the form's there if anyone wants to give us their views. That would be great too. Oh.
So, hello to anyone who's joined us online. My name is Greg Templeton. I'm the Planning Project Manager for Intelligent Land Investments. We have some presentations that we're doing today. We're going to run through some slides. And my colleague Andrew Hughes, who's the PR and Media Manager, who's just joined us on the screen. Andrew also has good sort of technical knowledge and helps with various aspects of the developments. Andrew's going to be running through a short presentation where we will talk about the proposals and a little bit about the need for energy storage projects, which is it's a reasonably new thing people aren't used to seeing. There is a text box on the right-hand side of your screen, a comment section. You can see there's some comments there already. There's a section that says type a message. If you want to contact us, you can type in that box. And you'll see your questions, and we'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. You can set those questions anytime, just as if something comes up and you'd like it clarified. There's also Andrew's phone number on the screen there, which is 07456 539 239. You can send a text message to Andy, and we can answer your questions that way. There's also a section we'd encourage you to fill in where it says downloads. Click here for access to the PAN questionnaire. That would allow us to take on board any comments that you may have or queries. So I think that's half past now, Andy. I can hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So like Derek said, I'm going to run through a quick PowerPoint presentation. Tells you a little bit about ILI Group, the company, what it is we're trying to do with energy storage, why we actually need energy storage, why we need it in this location, and we'll run through some of the plans as well, so you can see exactly what it is we're proposing. So I'll just get it underway, get the presentation started. So what is the project? So what it is, we already have a planning permission. We already benefit from a planning permission for a 19.9 megawatt facility, energy storage facility, which in effect is exactly the same size physically. Everything's exactly the same as the new project that we're proposing for 29.9 megawatts, except that the battery storage units are basically more efficient. So we can get more power in each of the battery storage units. So we can go from 19.9 megawatts to 29.9 megawatts. But what that means is, as we go over the 20 megawatt mark, we become a major application. So we need to go through the PAN process, the planning process again, the public consultation process, and go through full planning again. So that's the way the system works. So although we're not changing anything, we still need to go back through the planning process. So the development itself, if you hadn't seen the first one, basically it's energy storage units, which are basically containerized batteries, an access track between them, a small substation, fencing around those, and some trees that we're going to plant, and some bushes to kind of screen that. And as we go on further on in the slides, I'll go into a lot more detail about that too. So projects like this, what they do in effect is we store excess energy from the grid. So at times when there's too much power being produced, usually from renewable energy, we take that power and store it for when it is needed. And this helps balance supply and demand for the grid. So that gives you an overview of what the project is. So who are ILI Group? Well, we're an energy storage development company based in South Lanarkshire and Hamilton. We started the energy storage part of the company in 2017, and previous to that we were involved in the feed-in tariff. We were doing renewable projects, wind, solar, and hydro projects all across the country, Aberdeenshire, so basically every area in Scotland we were in at one point. Now we're solely focused on energy storage, and we're trying to bring that 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. Majority of that's going to come from 3 pump storage hydro projects that we're in the process of developing. One of those is already in planning, Red John on the shores of Loch Ness at Doors. We've maybe heard of that one. That one's quite far advanced. And we have 500 megawatts of battery storage as well that we're bringing to the market, or bringing to Scotland. And Fordtown is going to be part of that also. So why do we need energy storage? What is the point in it? What is it? Why are we doing this? Now, Scotland's got a net zero target of 2045. The rest of the UK is 2050. So we've got an ambitious target that the Scottish government's wanting to meet. And as part of that, a large part of that will be moving away from kind of fossil fuel generators, coal, gas, and moving more towards renewable energy, which we've already done in a big way. But the age-old problem with renewable energy is that it's intermittent. So the more reliant you are on it, the more you are reliant on something that you can't turn on when you need it to, in effect. So what that means is that we're going to have to rely more on energy storage going forward. Previously, what happens is that where renewable energy is not available, we turn up the gas, the coal, or nuclear. But as these power plants go offline, come to the end of their lifespan, then we're going to have energy storage as a larger part of the energy mix to make renewable energy work in effect. So Ofgem have estimated that we would need up to 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We're currently sitting at around about 4 gigawatts, so we're quite a bit away from that. And the Scottish Government have recognised that they're broadly supportive of new energy storage projects as they realise if they're going to deploy more renewable energy, if they're going to hit these 2045 targets, they're going to have to increase the amount of energy storage that's available in Scotland too. So why are we in this exact location? Now, the land that we have located is near the Contour grid supply point, and a grid supply point is basically where transmission power comes in from pylon lines and large voltages, gets broke down, and the grid supply point to smaller voltages goes to smaller substations, and again from there into your houses and homes. So it's basically a hub. A grid supply point is a hub where you can connect, where we're looking to connect these batteries to. But the thing is, there's a lot of these in Scotland, but there's very few that can actually take the level of power that we're talking about connecting. So that's why we're in this location, as we're looking to. We know there's only a few. There's not that many of these grid supply points that can take the power, but there's one in Contour. So that's why we're at that location. So the next few plans give us an idea of whereabouts we are specifically and what it is we've physically got proposed on the land. So this location plan gives you a good kind of view of where we are. So we're at Fordtown, land at Fordtown, between Contour and Lay Lodge. We're on the road, the main access road, the B977 between Contour and Lay Lodge, about 1 kilometre southwest of Contour. The development lies about 200 metres from and the nearest homes at Lay Lodge, the west, and about 200 metres from the house of Fordtown, part of the farm business of the landowner that we have the land on. Now, the actual site layout itself is 30 energy storage units, or storage containers with batteries in them in effect, and those are parallel to each other, 15 either side with an access tract in the middle of the compound, and the compound itself is surrounded by a 3-metre wooden fence. Outside, 2 sides of that is surrounded by, we're going to do planting new native broadleaf trees and shrubs. It's going to screen the project and the fencing, and we have already there kind of forestry to the south as well. So from most locations, the project's going to be well screened, and from the main road, just from the natural screening and the screening that we're proposing. So we're hoping the project, once it's actually installed, it's going to have very minimal impact surrounding area. The energy units themselves, they are 13 metres by 2.5 metres by 2.6 metres high, and they have all the batteries, the transformers, everything inside them that we need to connect to the grid, and they also have air conditioning units on the side of those as well to keep all the equipment inside cool. Pardon me? The technology we're using in the batteries is solid-state lithium-ion batteries, which are basically being used in nearly every other battery storage project in the UK and worldwide. So it's a proven technology, so we'd be sticking with that too. The substation that we're proposing on the project as well is a small substation. It'll be a GRP building, and that contains all the Scottish Power equipment and everything that we need to get the power from the grid and break it down to the batteries and back again. And that's 10 metres by 6 metres by 3.2 metres high, and the colour for that will be agreed with Aberdeenshire Council. Now the fencing that we're proposing that I've mentioned, so we have a 3 metre high, 3 metre high solid wooden fence. Then outside of that, we're going to have a number of different trees and bushes that are kind of detailed there. Sort of hawthorn, blackthorn, hazel, crabtree, dogwood. These are all kind of trees, bushes that we're going to be. We've already agreed for the previous application with the council that we're going to plant in those areas that we showed previously. So those will give good screening to the project. Now they're coming in. Obviously, they're not full-grown trees when they arrive, but over time they'll grow to screen the site quite well. And outside of that, we also have a 1.2 metre wire stock fence as well. So I think that gives you an overview of what the project is, where we're at the moment, what it is we're trying to do, why we need energy storage, and why we need it in this location. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully, if anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat for us. Put them in the chat there on the right hand side. If you haven't got the chat, then if there's no chat box there, my mobile number is there, 07456 539 239, where you can ask us some questions. That would be great to hear back from you. And if you not want to ask us questions, there's also there's a questionnaire there. Click here to access questionnaire. So if you want to go online, you can access that and fill it in online, send it to us. I'd be interested to get your feedback. So I think I'll leave it there. Greg, have you anything you'd add to that?
No, Andy, just as I've emphasised after the last couple of presentations, that there is a consent already on this site, and we have approval for a battery storage site that is essentially exactly the same as what we're proposing just now. We haven't made any amendments to the layout or the number of units or the fencing or the landscaping. It's all exactly the same as has consent. And the only difference is the capacity of the batteries. And the batteries are able to store more energy. That's why we've had to come in for a further application. Other than that, Andrew, I think you've answered. You sort of give a good overview of where the application is and what's proposed. And if anybody would like to ask any questions, then we're here to answer them. The next presentation at 5 o'clock. So if there's anything you missed or you want to go over something again, you can hang around for that. We'll still be here to answer any questions you've got. Or, as Andrew said, you can get in contact with us various ways on the website. You can do that. Right.
Okay, thanks, Greg. So if there's no questions, we'll be back at 5 o'clock with another presentation, which is they're all listed there. So hopefully we can hear from you then.
Andy, I'll keep an eye on the room just to see if anybody new enters. If anyone does enter, I'll just give an explanation of what's happening and when the next presentation starts, so they know.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, welcome everyone who's tuned in for our 5 o'clock presentation of Fordtown Energy Storage. I'm just seeing if anyone new came on to the chat room. I can't see anyone new, but if you are listening, that's where, if you can see the chat room, if you want to put any questions up as I go through this presentation, that would be great. I'm Andrew Hughes, PR and Media Manager for ILI Group. We also have Greg Templeton, Planning Manager. I'm available here as well. I'm going to run through some quick slides, tell you a little bit about the project, a little bit about our company, what it is we're trying to achieve with energy storage and why we need it, and why we need it in this location. So I don't know, Greg, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I've had an eye on seeing if anyone else new has joined. It doesn't look like there is, but we're not sure that we're seeing. This is only the second one of these that we've done, so we're not sure that we're seeing everybody who appears online, which is why we have the slide and we're having regular times so that people know when they can see things. Just again, Andy, just encouraging people, letting them know how they can get in touch with us, and let them know that we're here and any questions that they may have.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Yes, there's also a mobile number there. If you couldn't get us, if you can't see the chat when you're online or on your phone or whatever way you're watching this, there's a mobile number you should be able to see, 07456539239. So you can certainly text me and we will answer any questions that are there. There's also a PAN questionnaire, a questionnaire form that we'd like you to fill in. So if you click on that, that'll bring you to an online form where you can tell us your views on the project, ask you a few questions. So we'd love it if you could click on that and download and upload any questions you may have. The presentation itself and the questionnaire form will be available for the next 21 days. So at any time you can go back and have a look at the slides from this presentation. I think there's a few people joined us there, so welcome. We're just in time. I'm going to start running through the presentation. If you've got any questions, please put them up in the chat for us as we go through, and we'll answer them at the end. So I'm just going to start the presentation. So yeah. So
Andy has disappeared. We've had some technical difficulties before where the internet is cut out briefly. Andy will be back in a moment. So if anyone's tuned in, I'm just referring to my other screen just now to see if anybody's asking any questions online. On the right-hand side of the screen, there's a little square for comments. A comments section says type a message. So if there is anyone there and you want to speak to us, you can type a message. We'll be back. Explaining me sometimes technical difficulties, but that's you back. We're all good. You might be on mute, Andy.
Mute, thanks. Yeah, sorry. So what is the project? The project itself, we already benefit from planning permission for a 19.9 megawatt facility, and this new proposal would enable 29.9 megawatts of power to be stored and exported to the grid. So in effect, we're changing the capacity of the batteries. We're not changing any of the physical layout. Everything's staying exactly the same from the consent. The reason we have to go back to planning is we are going over 20 megawatts, so it then becomes a major application, so we have to go through the full process again. But in effect, the actual development's staying exactly the same. We've just managed to get a more efficient energy storage units. That means we can hold more power in the same space, basically. So if you weren't aware of the first project, basically it's a containerized battery. So we've got 30 energy storage units, which are basically racks and racks of batteries inside storage containers. There's an access track in the middle of those. There's a small substation, and it's surrounded by fencing, trees, and security cameras. I'll go into that in a lot more detail later on, but to give you a quick overview. So basically projects like this store excess power from the grid, So normally that's from renewable energy, so at times when renewable energy is getting generated, nobody needs, instead of turning those turbines or whatever it is off, we would store that power and put it back into the grid when it is needed. So in effect, this helps balance the supply and demand for the grids. So who are ILI Group? So ILI Group is Intelligent Land Investments, ILI for short. We're an energy storage development company based in South Lanarkshire, Hamilton. We started the storage section, energy storage section of that in 2017. Before that, we were involved in the feed-in tariff. We've done a number of projects, wind, solar, hydro, all over the country, Aberdeenshire as well, everywhere basically in Scotland. We had projects running at one point. Now, our focus for ILI Group is 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. The majority of that's going to be coming from hydro pump storage plants that we have. We've got 3 of those that are currently developing. We're hoping to develop. The first one of those is in planning. Red John at the shores of Loch Ness at Doors. You've maybe heard of that. It's been quite well publicised and it's far advanced in planning. The rest of the 2 gigawatts is going to come from 500 megawatts of battery storage, of which Fordtown would be part of that. So why is it needed? Why do we need energy storage at all? So Scotland's got a target of net zero by 2045. The rest of the UK is 2050. So it's an ambitious target Scotland's got. And a large part of that's going to come from moving away from fossil fuel generators, gas and coal and gas, and also as nuclear comes to the end of its nuclear power comes to the end of its lifetime, or the power stations come to the end of their lifetime, we're going to become more and more reliant on renewable energy, which is great. But the only sort of the age-old problem that we have with renewable energy is that it's intermittent. So we can't switch it on when we need it. It only works when it's sunny. It only works when it's windy. So we can't match it up to demand. So as what we've done previously is that fossil fuel generators would meet that demand at times when renewable energy isn't developed, isn't getting generated. But as these go offline, we're becoming more dependent on renewable energy. So energy storage is going to have to become a larger part of the energy mix if we want that to actually work. So the Ofgem have estimated that we would need up to 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050. We currently have around about 4 gigawatts of energy storage in the whole of the UK, so we're quite a wee bit away from that. Scottish Government have realised and are broadly supportive of energy storage. They realise if we're going to deploy renewable energy at the scale needed and to meet these net zero targets, we're going to have energy storage as a large part of that. So they are broadly supportive of projects of this nature. So why are we actually in this location? Why at Contour? The reason is the land that we have is located is near the Contour GSP, which is the grid supply point. And basically, a grid supply point is it's a hub for the grid where transmission power comes in from pylons. It's broken down into smaller voltages that are broken down again into smaller substations that go to your houses, to your businesses, and everything like that. And so grid supply point just means a kind of grid hub, a large grid hub. And there's a number of these across Scotland, but only very few of them actually have the capacity to take 30 megawatts of power that we're proposing, or 29.9 megawatts of power. So that's why we're in this specific location. So the next few slides show you exactly whereabouts we are, and based on planning drawings that show you what it is we're actually proposing on the site. So this location plan shows you we're land at Fordtown, between Contour and Lay Lodge, on the main road between there, on the B977, where we've taken access to the site from. We're about 1 kilometre southwest of Contour, and the development lies about 200 metres from the nearest homes at Lay Lodge to the west, and around about 200 metres from the actual house of Fordtown, which is part of the farm business. Right, so the site layout, as I said, it's energy storage units, which are storage containers which have racks of batteries in them in effect. So We've got 30 energy storage units, 15 either side, as you can see, kind of in green, with an access track going down the middle of that. And outside of that, we've got a small substation closure, which is all the equipment that we need to get the power to and from the grid. And there'll be a cable that would run down the main road to the power station, to the control substation. So the storage containers, that enclosure is surrounded with a 3-metre wooden fence. Outside of that, as you can see, we have some trees planted, some trees, native broadleaf trees and shrubs that we're proposing that are going to screen the site from 2 sides, and we have the forestry that's already planted to the south as well. So once it's actually installed and up and running, it's going to be quite well hidden. So the energy storage units themselves, they are 13 metres by 2.5 metres by 2.6 metres high. And those are going to be, and those have all the equipment in it that you would need: the batteries, inverters, transformers, everything we need to get power to and from the grid. And those will also have air conditioning units on the outside as well that would keep everything inside cool. Now the technology that we're proposing for these batteries are solid-state lithium-ion batteries, as these have been successfully used on nearly every other battery storage site in the UK, if not the world. So it's proven technology, so we would be sticking with that. Substation building previously mentioned is a GRP building, 10 metres by 6 metres by 3 metres, 3.2 metres high, and that would include all the switchgear, switch power equipment that we need to get to and from the grid, to get the electricity from the grid, the batteries, and back in. So this fencing diagram gives you an idea of what this will actually look like for what the kind of screening that we're proposing. So we've got security cameras there, and we keep them monitor the site 24 hours a day. Then we have a solid wooden fence, 3 metre high. Then we'll have a number of different trees that we've already kind of agreed with the council. So we've got kind of hawthorn, blackthorn, blackberry, crabapple. These are all part of a planning condition that we had for the previous application, and I'm sure they would be the same for this application as well. Then out with that, we've got a 1.2 metre post and wire stock fence around the whole of that project, the whole of the project, just to keep any kind of livestock or anything away from the project. So that really gives you an idea of what it is we're proposing, why we need energy storage, and why we need it in this exact location. So if you've got any questions, please put them up on the chat. I hope we'll try and answer them as best we can. Me and Greg will. So hopefully there's someone there that will put a question up or text me a question and we can have a chat about it. That'll be great. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, Andy, I think you've sort of covered everything. You've explained the need for energy pump storage and why people are beginning to see applications for battery sites coming in. Like you've explained what the battery storage units actually look like, what the proposal is going to look like. And I think just the key thing I've emphasised after each of these again is just that the site has a planning consent essentially for this scheme. Of consent for battery storage units in the layout that we propose with the fencing and everything. And all we're really doing with this application is increasing the capacity of the batteries, which doesn't change their appearance in any way. It's just the amount of energy that the batteries can store. That's the only thing that's changing in this application. So hopefully it shouldn't cause anybody any concerns in planning terms.
Thanks, Greg. Yep, so if anyone's got any questions, I think there was someone new on the chat that's in there. If you want to put anything up, that'd be brilliant. Or we'll have the next presentation will start at 5:30 if no one's texts us, if no one gets in contact with us for any questions. I think that's what we'll do, Greg. I think that's That's fair enough.
Can anyone we've explained how to get in touch with us. Sorry, I think I thought bring a message there. If anyone does want to get, that's fine. We'll be here to answer questions. Otherwise, we'll start.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Thanks for that. If anyone's got any questions, put them up. Otherwise, we'll be back at 5:30 to do another wee presentation and hopefully get some feedback from you guys. Thanks.
So, hi there. This is the 5:30 presentation of our public consultation for our Fordtown energy storage project. My name is Greg Templeton. I'm the planning project manager at Intelligent Land Investments, and my colleague Andrew Hughes, who's the PR and media manager, he'll be doing a short presentation to explain a little bit about the company, what we're proposing, why we're doing battery storage, which is a question that some people are interested in, and also to explain a little bit about the site and about the application. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a box for comments. You can type in there where it says type a message. We'll be able to see any questions that you've got. There's also a phone number, which is Andy's phone number. If you want to send him a text to ask questions, the number's 07456 539 239. You can also get us on email. Mine is gt@ili-energy, and Andrew is ah@ili-energy.com. So Andrew's going to give the presentation now, and then we'll hang around for a question and answer. We're finishing at 6 o'clock tonight, but we are going to do a short presentation just at 6 o'clock, just for anyone who's arrived at that time. And you can contact us via email, via the phone number that we give on the comments section of the website, or below this there is a section for downloads. It says click here to access the PAN questionnaire. You can fill that out, some details, and you can submit that, and we'll get in the comments questions you've got. I'll try and give you an answer. Andy, if you want to take over and you can go through the presentation. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for that. So yeah, I'll just start the presentation. So this is going to give you a quick overview of what it is that who ILI Group are, what it is we're trying to do, why we need energy storage, why we need it in this location, and what we're actually proposing on the site. So what is the project? Now, as Greg already mentioned, I think the project already benefits from a planning permission for a 19.9 megawatt facility, and in effect we're putting that up to 29.9 megawatts. That's what we're going back into planning for. We're not changing anything on the ground. It's going to be exact same physical dimensions for everything. We've just managed to get storage units, energy storage units that have better capacity batteries for the same space. But because of the way the planning works, if we go over 20 megawatts, we need to go back in for a new planning application as well to become a major application, so this is what we're doing at the moment. So nothing's really changing apart from it's going from 19 megawatts, 19.9 to 29.9. So if you weren't aware of the previous project, it's basically containerized batteries. So they come in storage units, which are basically storage containers with racks and racks of batteries. We've got 30 of those on the site, an access track down the middle of them, a small substation, and that's surrounded by fence and screening with trees that we're going to plant to. I'm going to go into that in a lot more detail later on, just to give you a wee overview. So what projects like this do is we store excess energy from the grid. So at times when there's more power on that's needed, from renewable energy, for example, we would store that energy and then put that back into the grid when it's required, and this helps balance. In its most basic terms, this helps balance supply and demand for the grid. So, who are ILI Group? So we're an energy storage development company based in Hamilton in South Lanarkshire. We started the energy storage section of the company in 2017. Previously to that, we were involved in numerous projects all across Scotland for the feed-in tariff, so wind, solar and hydro projects we have that are all up and running at the moment. And we've moved now exclusively into energy storage, and that's what we're doing. Our goal is to bring 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. The majority of that we're going to bring through pump storage hydro projects that we have running. One of those is quite advanced in planning. It's Red John on the shores of Loch Ness at Doors. Maybe you've heard about that. It's been in the press quite a lot. And the rest of that storage capacity is going to come from 500 megawatts of battery that we either have consented or in the process of getting consented, similar to the Fordtown project we have. So, why do we need energy storage? Why is it needed? So we've got Scotland, Scotland's got a target of net zero by 2045, the rest of the UK is 2050. So it's quite an ambitious target, and to do that, we're going to have to move away from renewable, move away from fossil fuel generators such as coal and gas. And as nuclear comes to the end of the nuclear power stations that we have come to the end of their lifespan, and they're not getting renewed, but not going to be getting renewed. We're going to become more and more reliant on renewable energy. And the age-old problem we have with renewable energy is it's not available on demand. So we can't switch it on to meet the classic World Cup final when everyone switches the kettle on. We can't turn on the renewable energy to meet that, or the break at Coronation Street, or whatever. If you get what I mean. So we can't actually meet up demand with the production. So as we become more reliant on renewable energy, the only way we're going to be able to do that is by increasing the amount of energy storage that we have in the mix of power. So that's what we're doing, and that's what the Ofgem have estimated, that we're going to need 37 gigawatts of energy storage by 2050, or up to 37 gigawatts. So we currently have 4 gigawatts, so there's a big gap between 4 and 37. And the Scottish Government have recognised this, and they're generally supportive of new energy storage projects, because they realise if they're going to hit net zero and deploy more renewable energy, we're going to have more energy storage to go along with that, or it won't work. So why in this exact location? Why are we in Kintor? So the land is near the Kintor grid supply point. It's just down the road from the big substation there. And basically a grid supply point is a grid hub where transmission power comes in from pylons and gets broken down into smaller voltages, and again broken down into smaller voltages that go to substations and eventually to your house and to businesses, local businesses. So that's why we're at this substation, because we've looked at a lot of these different grid supply points, and there's very few in Scotland that can actually take the kind of power that we're talking about. So they're few and far between the ones that can handle the extra capacity that we're proposing putting in. So that's why we're in Kintor. So the next few slides give you an idea of the location and what the planning drawings in effect of what we're actually proposing on the site. So the land's situated at Fordtown, between Kintor and Lay Lodge. We're on the main road. We're on the main road between Kintor and Lay Lodge, the B977, where we'll be taking access from. We're about 1 kilometre southwest of Kintor. Development lies 200 metres from the nearest homes at Lay Lodge, the west, and around 200 metres from the house of Fordtown, which is part of the farm business that the land is on. The site layout, like I said, it's energy storage storage units, which are storage containers in effect with batteries inside of them. There's 15 either side of the access road that runs down the middle, and that compound is surrounded by a 3 metre high fence, wooden fencing, and again around two sides of that we'll have tree planting to screen the project, and to the south we already have the kind of natural forestry that's already there. And out with all of that, we will have a stock fence, a stock and post fence around the entirety of the perimeter of the project. So the energy storage units are 13 metres by 2.5 metres on the ground by 2.6 metres high, and they'll hold all the batteries, everything that needs to connect to the grid, and they also have air conditioning units on the outside as well, which keep everything inside nice and cool. The technology we're using for these projects is solid state lithium-ion batteries, and those have been successfully used on nearly every other project in the UK and worldwide. So it's proven technology, so we'd be sticking with that. The substation building is a GRP building that would be 10 metres by 6 metres by 3.2 metres high, with a colour agreed with the council. And that contains all the Scottish Power equipment that we need to take the power from the batteries to the grid, and from the grid to the batteries, and back and forth. So the fencing that we're proposing, this kind of screening that we're doing, we'll have the security camera there, and then outside that we have 3 metre high fencing, wooden fence. then the trees and scrubs that we've agreed previously with the council, sort of hawthorn, blackthorn, they're all kind of listed there, all the different kind of trees and scrub bushes that we're planning to plant to screen the project. And outside of that, there would be a 1.2 high metre fence. So well, I think that's part of the planning condition for the previous application, and I'm hopefully it would be part of the planning condition for the next one as well. So I think that gives you an overview of what it is we're trying to do as a company, who ILI Group are, why we need energy storage, and why we need it in this location. So I think I'll leave it there. If anyone's got any questions, please put them up on the chat. That would be great to hear from you guys if you are there, if you can see the chat box. If not, please text us on 07456 539 239. I would also like to, if you could fill out the PAN questionnaire, that would be awesome too. It's in the download section underneath the stream. So that'll be there along with the presentation slides. Will be there for the next 21 days. So if you don't want to do it right now, you can go back and have a look and download and give us your thoughts on the project, on the questionnaire. That would be awesome. I'll just pass it over to Greg.
Thanks, Andy. I was just thinking some of the questions that have been asked at other events, and one of them, the last one was, I didn't see the last application that was approved by the council, and how did that get approved, and when did that get approved? So it's probably worthwhile just saying that the Fordtown previous planning application, which was approved, was advertised all in the normal way. It was submitted to the council. The council will have notified the correct neighbours. It will have been on the council's planning portal, and it will have been listed amongst their live planning applications. People could go online and check them, comment on them, and make any comments to the council that would have been taken on board during that process. And the planner has gone out to consultees, checked those consultees, and recommended approval, wrote up a report, and it was approved. It'll go through the same process again. The difference is that now this has become a major application. It's considered a major application when it goes over 20 megawatts. So the last application was just below 20 megawatts, and now it's closer to 30 megawatts. As Andy explained, everything physically on the site is still exactly the same. The fences, the layout of the batteries, everything about how it looks is all exactly as it was in the existing approval. The only difference is that the batteries are able to store more energy. They're more efficient batteries, and so they're able to store more of the energy that's on the grid and feed that back to the grid when it's needed. And when it gets submitted to planning, it will be advertised again, so there'll be something in the paper. The council planners go out to the various consultees. It'll be the same consultees as last time. The consultees will provide comment to the planner, who will then take those into consideration, and any public comments, so anything from community councils or anything that the public write in or email to the planners or put online, that's all taken into account, and the planner will take a view and write up the report. This time, because it's a major application, it will go before a planning committee rather than being a delegated decision by the planning officer. So that's the major differences between what was before and what we have now. In terms of what's on site, there isn't really any difference. It's really just a procedural difference. So thanks for clarifying that for people. It doesn't look like there's anybody online. Andy?
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there's anyone new on the chat, or they're not speaking if they are, which is totally fine. If you just want to listen, and that's cool too. If you want to, but if you could fill in one of the PAN questionnaires, that would be great. That would be really helpful, and that are on the download section.
Yep.
If there's no questions, then I think we'll leave it to just before 6. We'll come back on and just do another quick wee presentation, Greg, for anyone who might be getting back from work or whatever. Cool.
Sure. that quite quickly. How to get in touch with us. That'll be fine, I think. So maybe like 5-2, something like that, Andy.
Yeah, that sounds fine, mate. Let's do that. Okay. So, hello everyone. If anyone is there, hopefully someone's here. This is the last of our presentations for our Fordtown energy storage project that we're proposing. So I'm going to do run through a quick presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A if anyone wants to ask any questions. I'm Andrew Hughes, I'm the P&R and Media Manager. We also have Greg Templeton here as well, who's our Planner Manager, to answer any questions. So I can't see anyone. You maybe see if you're online. If you are there, you can see a chat room, a chat box on the right-hand side. So if you have any questions, put them there. I can't see anyone is on that, Greg. I think it's just me and you at the moment. And there's also a mobile number there. Sorry. I think there's just yeah. I think that.
It looks
sorry.
We might have. Sorry, Andy. It looks as though we maybe did have someone for most of the time here today, possibly the planner. But there's no one here now. I don't think except us, but we'll just quickly run through it just in case, and then encourage people to get in touch with us. I think you're on mute again, Andy.
Yeah, it's a PAN questionnaire just underneath the downloads bit, underneath the video. And there's also the presentations there as well. So if anyone wants to look through the slides and if they miss the presentation, then they can still do that for the next 21 days. But with that, I think I'll just run through it quickly, Craig. So what is the project? So the site itself already benefits from a planning permission for a 19.9 megawatt energy storage facility. So what we're doing at the moment is we're increasing the amount of power that can be stored and exported to the grid to 29.9 megawatts. And in effect, that's the only thing we're doing. We're not changing any of the layout, any of the amount of containers on the site. Everything's staying exactly the same, except the batteries we can get now are more efficient. So we can get more batteries in a smaller space in effect. So that's all we're going back in for planning for, is that increase from 19.9 to 29.9. Development, if you didn't see the first one, the development consists of energy storage units, which are basically storage containers with batteries inside of them, an access track down the middle of them, a small meter building, some fencing, screening with trees and security cameras. And I'll talk about that in a lot more detail in a wee minute. So the project stores excess power from the grid, so at times when there's renewable energy getting generated that's not needed, we can store that and then put it back into the grid from the batteries when it is required. And in its most basic terms, this helps balance supply and demand for the grid. So who are ILI Group? We are an energy storage company based in South Lanarkshire, in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire even. We started the energy storage part in 2017, focusing on bringing 2 gigawatts of energy storage to Scotland. We've also previously been involved in a number of feed-in tariff projects all across Scotland, actually, that we have now installed and operational. We're hoping to bring 2 gigawatts of energy storage. Majority of that will come from pump storage hydro. There are 3 projects that we're in the process of bringing through. One of those already in planning is Red John on the shores of Loch Ness at Doors. It's far advanced in planning. And the rest of the power is going to come, the rest of the capacity for that 2 gigawatts is going to come from battery storage projects, very like Fordtown that we have here. So why is it needed? Why do we need energy storage at all? So Scotland's got a target of net zero by 2045. If we want to hit that, we're going to have to become more reliant on renewable energy, moving away from fossil fuel generators, coal and gas. And as these kind of older power stations, nuclear as well, come to the end of their lifespan, we're becoming more reliant on renewable energy. And the problem with that is that renewable energy is intermittent. So you can't decide when you switch it on. It only works when it's windy, it only works when it's sunny, etc. So you need to have a way to store that power for when it is needed, especially as the backup power, sort of full fossil fuel and nuclear starts to decline. We really need to have energy storage on a large scale. Ofgem have estimated we need 37 gigawatts of power energy storage by 2050. Scottish Government also recognise that. They're broadly supportive of energy storage projects. They know that they're going to have to deploy a lot more of them we're going to get the 2045 target, we're going to have a lot more energy storage to go along with it. So why are we in this exact location? Well, the land's near the Contour GSP. We're right down the road from the big substation there. And basically a grid supply point is a major grid hub where transmission power from pylons gets broken down into smaller voltages, and then smaller voltages again to go to smaller substations, and then eventually out your house. So there's very few of these that could actually take the kind of power that we're hoping to export, the kind of 30 megawatts mark. So that's why we're in Contour. So the next few slides give you an idea of whereabouts in the world the project is, and sort of basically the planning drawings give you an idea of what we're actually proposing. So like we said, the land is at Fordtown, Contour, between Contour and Lay Lodge, between on the main road between there, the B977, that's where we'll be taking access from. We're 200 metres from the nearest houses to the west at Lay Lodge, and we're around about 200 metres from the actual house at Fordtown, which is part of the farm business. The site layout itself is 30 storage containers, energy storage units, 15 either side with an access track down the middle, as you can see, and there's a small substation enclosure there. Most of that surrounded with trees and shrubs to screen it from the main road and other locations. And we also have the forestry to the left that's kind of natural screening. And that will all be surrounded by a 3-metre wooden high fence, which I'll explain a little bit more in a few slides' time. So the energy storage units themselves, they're 13 metres by 2.5 metres by 2.6 metres high. They can chain all the batteries, everything they need. They've also got air conditioning units on the side of them to keep everything cool inside. And the technology we'll be using is solid lithium-ion batteries that have been proven track record, proven technology, and used on the majority of other UK and worldwide energy storage, battery storage sites. Substation building is a GRP building, 10 metres by 6 metres up to those dimensions, and up by 3 metres high, 3.2 metres high. Contains all this sort of equipment we need to get the power from the batteries to the grid and back again. And the fencing there's a 3-metre high fence, and then outside of that, around the compound, is the trees that we're planning to plant. So we've agreed then with the council for the previous application. I'm sure they would stay the same. Hawthorn, Blackburn, they're all kind of listed there. They'll obviously be smaller when they get planted. They're not going to be planting fully grown trees, obviously. They'll take a wee while to grow. And outside of that, there's a 1.2 metre post and wire stop fence, pardon me, that would surround the full compound. So that's a quick wee presentation here. Gives you an idea of why we need energy storage in this location, what ILI group are trying to achieve, and what the project's actually going to look like. So I don't know if you've got anything you want to add to that, Greg?
Andy, I think that's good. I think we'll just wrap up and say if anybody is still listening, and anybody's there, you've got the comments board at the side. How long does that stay up, Andy? Is that only while we're live? Okay, Andy. So we've also got
the comment boards, the PAN questionnaire, and the presentation slides will be there for 21 days. The video might be up for a few days, but we'll probably take that down.
Okay, well, we've repeated a few times on the video. How to get in contact with us, your phone number, our email addresses. It's all there, and encourage people to get in touch with us if they have any questions. Thanks a lot. I think that's us for tonight, Andy.